Welcome to a place where growth isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle. Here we rise above insults by outgrowing them. We guard our peace like it's pure treasure, refusing to let chaos rent space in our minds. We learn to respond with dignity, not react in anger, turning potential battles into moments of strength. We understand that real victory isn't in proving them wrong today, it's in living so well that they end up proving themselves wrong tomorrow. We surround ourselves with people who challenge us, inspire us, and celebrate our wins, because environment shapes destiny. And most importantly, we become so focused on our purpose that no distraction, no negativity, and no setback can stop us. If you're ready to level up your mindset, master your emotions, and live with unshakable confidence, you're in the right place. Let me tell you something. People will always have something to say. They'll throw shade, they'll whisper behind your back, they'll question your worth when they can't match your work. That's the way the world spins. You can't control it, you can't stop it, and you sure can't make everybody like you. But here's the part they never see coming. When you stand tall in who you are, when you refuse to bend your character just to clap back or prove a point, you've already won. See, there's a difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is emotional, it's fast, it's loud. It's the "I'll show you" attitude, but a response, that's measured, that's calculated. Sometimes your best response is nothing at all. Because when you carry yourself with integrity, you're not meeting people where their energy is. You're pulling them into a space they can't reach. They swing at air. They throw punches that never land, because you're not even in the ring with them anymore. You've got to understand, your name, your reputation, your word, those things are worth more than any momentary satisfaction of proving someone wrong. You protect them by staying rooted in truth, even when lies are flying all around you. You protect them by letting your life do the talking instead of your tongue. The world is watching how you handle pressure. The people who matter are watching how you handle disrespect. And when they see that you don't flinch, don't fold, and don't fall into petty games, your stock rises without you saying a word. There's power in restraint. There's power in letting the truth marinate while everyone else burns themselves out trying to drag you down. When you know who you are, you don't have to step outside your character to defend it. Think about it. Diamonds don't argue with rocks. They just shine, and in the light, the difference is obvious. And let me be real with you. It's not easy. Because the moment someone comes at you sideways, the ego wants to get loud. The pride wants to prove something. That's human nature. But strength isn't always in what you do, it's in what you refuse to do. Anybody can swing back, anybody can spit words, but not everybody can take a hit, stand still and smile, knowing that time is on their side. That's rare, that's discipline, that's mastery. The truth has a way of taking the long road, but it always gets there. And when it does, when the dust settles and the smoke clears, people remember who kept their hands clean. People remember who didn't break their own values just to win a moment. You've got to keep your eyes on the bigger picture, because what you lose in character is never worth what you gain in temporary satisfaction. Understand this. When you keep your integrity intact, you frustrate your enemies more than any insult ever could. They want you to lose your cool. They want to pull you into the mud because in the mud they have home field advantage. But you stay on solid ground and suddenly they've got nowhere to stand. Their words bounce off walls. Their actions lose weight. And you keep building. You keep walking. You keep living in a way that speaks louder than their noise. That's how you destroy someone without lifting a finger, by not letting their fire ignite yours, by refusing to give them the reaction they came for, by showing them that your character is not up for negotiation, and when they realize they can't touch it, they can't break it, they can't bait it, that's when they've already lost. You see, every attack they throw is just a test, and every time you pass that test by staying true, by staying calm, by staying unmoved, you teach them something they weren't ready to learn. That real strength is silent and real power is untouchable. Let me tell you, there's a certain kind of strength that doesn't come from your voice. It comes from your silence. Not the silence of weakness, not the silence of fear, but the silence of someone who knows exactly who they are and doesn't feel the need to explain it to anybody. That's the silence that shakes people. That's the silence that makes them question everything they thought they knew about you. You see, when someone tries to pull you into an argument, they're not looking for truth. They're looking for chaos. They want noise, they want heat, they want to see you lose control, because the moment you do, you've stepped into their arena. But when you stay quiet, when you refuse to give them the performance they came for, the game changes. Suddenly, all that energy they're throwing has nowhere to land. They're left swinging at shadows while you stand there untouched. The thing about silence is that it forces people to face themselves. Words can be deflected. Arguments can be twisted, but silence is a mirror. It makes them hear their own voice echo back, and sometimes that's more unsettling than anything you could have said. You don't have to defend every accusation. You don't have to fight every battle. Not everything deserves a response, and not every voice deserves your energy. It's not easy, though. When someone comes at you with lies, your first instinct is to set the record straight. When someone disrespects you, your pride wants to clap back. That's natural, but here's the truth. Silence is not about letting them win. It's about understanding that some battles aren't worth the cost. Your peace, your focus, your dignity, those are worth more than proving a point to someone who's not listening anyway. I've seen it over and over, people burning themselves out trying to shout over noise that doesn't matter. They don't realize that every time you respond, you're feeding the fire, and some fires aren't meant to be fought. They're meant to burn out on their own. Let the flames starve. Let the noise die in the quiet. That's how you keep your hands clean while still winning the war. And don't think for a second that silence means you're not doing anything. Silence is a move, it's a choice, it's strategy. When you're quiet, you're in control. You're observing, you're calculating, you're letting people reveal themselves without giving away your own position. You're conserving your strength for battles that actually matter. And the beauty is, while they're wasting their energy trying to get a rise out of you, you're still building, still moving, still rising. Silence also has a way of revealing truth in time. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to let reality do its job. Lies crumble on their own. Anger burns itself out. The storm always passes, and when it does, the people who kept their mouths shut and their heads high are the ones left standing. There's a quiet kind of victory in that. A victory that doesn't need an audience to be real. You have to trust the power of letting go. You have to believe that not every shot fired your way deserves a bullet back. That sometimes the best thing you can do is step aside and let their own momentum knock them down. When you speak, speak with purpose, but when you stay silent with confidence, because your silence says, I'm not afraid, I'm not shaken, and I'm not playing your game. People remember silence. They might forget your words, but they'll remember how it felt when you didn't give them the reaction they wanted. They'll remember the discomfort, the way the air shifted, the way they couldn't pull you into the mess. And in that memory, there's respect, even if they won't admit it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stand in the middle of the storm, calm and unshaken, while the wind rages around you. Because that kind of silence doesn't just speak louder than arguments, it ends them. There's a certain kind of strength people don't talk about enough. The strength to walk away when you know you could stay and win. That's the kind of power most folks don't understand, because we live in a world where everybody wants to prove something. They want the last word, the final clapback, the knockout punch. But real wisdom knows this. Just because you can fight doesn't mean you should. You see, some fights are set up to drain you, not to define you. They're traps. They're designed to pull you off your path, steal your energy, and make you forget what you were working toward in the first place. And sure, you might win in the moment. Maybe you get the applause, maybe you get the satisfaction, but at what cost? Sometimes the price of winning is far too high, and you don't see it until it's already been paid. When you walk away from a fight you could win, you're not admitting defeat. You're declaring that your time, your peace, and your purpose are worth more than the argument. You're saying, I value myself too much to step into a ring that doesn't matter. And here's the truth. When you do that, you frustrate the very people who came to see you fall. They were counting on your pride to keep you there. They were counting on your ego to take the bait. But you showed them something different. You showed them control. The thing about walking away is that it's not about fear, it's about focus. It's about knowing where you're going and refusing to let someone else's chaos reroute you. You can't build a life worth living if you're constantly stopping to wrestle in every mud pit someone invites you into. That's not how progress works. The higher you climb, the more you have to protect your position. And sometimes the only way to protect it is to keep moving and leave the noise behind. I've seen people destroy themselves fighting battles that didn't matter. They thought they were standing their ground, but really they were standing still. And every day they stayed in that fight, they lost opportunities, they lost energy, they lost themselves. But when you walk away, you reclaim all of that. You free your hands and your mind for something better. You make room for the kind of victories that actually last. Don't get me wrong. Walking away takes more courage than standing and swinging. It takes a clear mind and a steady heart to look at someone coming at you full force and decide, this isn't worth it. But that's what separates the wise from the foolish. Anybody can let anger keep them planted. Anybody can fight just to feel right, but it takes discipline to rise above and move on without needing the scoreboard to say you won. Here's the part most people miss. When you leave with dignity, you don't just protect yourself in that moment, you build a reputation that follows you. People start to see that you can't be provoked into pettiness. They start to understand that your energy is reserved for things that matter. And the people who truly respect strength will see that kind of self-control as the mark of a leader, not a quitter. Walking away also teaches the other side a lesson without you having to say a word. Because when you don't engage, they're left to wrestle with their own frustration. They're forced to fight shadows, and sooner or later they realize that without your participation, there is no fight. That's the quiet kind of victory that never needs to be announced. It speaks for itself. Life will give you endless chances to be dragged into conflict. You'll have more opportunities than you can count to prove yourself to people who don't even matter in the long run. But your dignity is not up for negotiation. Your peace is not a bargaining chip. And once you understand that, you stop wasting time in arenas that don't deserve you. Sometimes the greatest win you'll ever have is the one where you walk away head high without a scratch. Because you knew that staying would have cost you more than leaving ever could. The thing about growth is, it changes the game without you even trying to play it. When you keep growing, when you keep leveling up, you make the noise around you irrelevant. The same insults that once bothered you don't even touch you anymore. Not because they stopped talking, but because you've risen to a place where their words can't reach. It's like trying to throw stones at a mountain from the bottom. No matter how hard they try, they're never getting close enough to make an impact. You see, most people stay on the same level year after year. They complain about the same things, gossip about the same people, live in the same small circle of drama. They want company in their comfort zone, and the moment you start climbing, they feel it. They notice the distance. And instead of climbing with you, many will try to pull you back down, because if you grow, you prove that it was possible all along. And they weren't willing to try, but here's the secret. You don't have to pull anyone down to rise higher. You just keep working on yourself. You keep learning, improving, refining your mindset. You keep surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, people who see more in you than you see in yourself. And little by little, you realize that the conversations you used to entertain don't even fit you anymore. The battles you used to fight don't even tempt you. The insults you used to respond to don't even deserve your time. Growth changes your perspective. What once felt like a personal attack now just feels small. Too small to get your attention. Not because you've become arrogant, but because you've shifted your focus. You've got bigger things to build, greater goals to chase, and no energy to waste on distractions. The higher you go, the clearer you see, and the clearer you see, the less you engage with what's beneath you. And let me tell you, that bothers some people more than any argument ever could. They want you to react, they want you to get down in the mud, they want to feel like they still have access to you. But when you outgrow their level, you remove that access. They can talk, they can criticize, they can throw shade all they want. But it's like yelling at someone through a closed window on the 20th floor. You might hear faint noise, but you don't feel it, and it doesn't stop you from moving forward. That's why personal growth is the ultimate form of quiet revenge. Not because you're trying to prove them wrong, but because you're proving yourself right. You're proving that you can keep evolving no matter who doubts you, no matter who tries to block you, no matter who hopes you fail. Every new skill you learn, every goal you hit, every step you take forward, those are victories they can't touch. But you have to be willing to let go of the old you to step into the new you. That means letting go of certain arguments, certain environments, even certain relationships. Because you can't keep growing if you're holding on to the things that keep you small. And yes, that's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, some people are going to call you selfish, fake, or distant. But understand this, what they're really saying is you've changed, and you have. That was the point. When you grow, you force the people around you to make a choice, rise with you or stay where they are. And if they choose to stay, that's their journey. Yours is to keep climbing. Don't slow down to make them comfortable. Don't shrink to fit into spaces you've already outgrown. That's not humility, that's sabotage. Your responsibility is to the potential inside you, not the opinions outside you. The most powerful part of outgrowing someone's level is that you don't even have to tell them you've done it. You don't have to announce it. Your actions, your results, your peace, they speak louder than anything you could say. And when they see you moving in ways they can't understand, living in a space they can't reach, they'll realize the distance didn't happen overnight. It happened every day you chose growth over gossip, discipline over distraction, and purpose over pettiness. Keep climbing, because once you reach a certain height, even the loudest voices down below start to sound like nothing at all. Your peace is not just a feeling, it's your foundation. Without it, everything else you build starts to shake. That's why you have to treat it like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because once you let someone's chaos get inside your head, they're not just stealing your time. They're stealing your clarity, your focus, your energy. And the longer they stay there, the harder it is to hear your own thoughts over their noise. You have to start looking at your mind like a home. Not everyone deserves a key. Not everyone gets to walk in and rearrange the furniture. You choose who enters, you choose what energy is allowed through the door, but here's the problem. Most of us let people in without even realizing it. A phone call, a social media post, a casual comment. And suddenly you're replaying it over and over in your head, arguing with them in your mind, carrying their storm into your day. That's how chaos moves in. It doesn't always kick the door down. It sneaks in through little cracks you didn't guard. Protecting your peace means learning the difference between what you can control and what you can't. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can control how much access they have to you. You can't stop people from talking about you, but you can stop listening. You can't keep life from throwing curveballs, but you can choose not to swing at everyone, and that choice, that's your power. You see, some people thrive on disorder. They live in it, they breathe it, they feed on it. And the moment you let them inside your mind, they start rearranging things to match their world. Suddenly, you're anxious over problems that aren't even yours. You're losing sleep over people who sleep just fine after dumping their drama on you. That's not just a waste of energy, it's a theft of your life. So you've got to set boundaries, and not just the kind you talk about, the kind you enforce. Boundaries that don't bend when someone pushes. Boundaries that make it clear your peace is not up for negotiation. If someone can only function by creating chaos, they're going to have to do it somewhere else. You don't have to be cruel, you don't have to yell. You just have to stop giving them space. And let me be honest, protecting your peace will cost you things. It might cost you certain friendships, certain circles, certain habits. It might mean being misunderstood, being called distant, being accused of not caring. But that's fine, because you can't keep everyone happy without losing yourself in the process. You're not here to be available for every argument, every complaint, every piece of negativity someone throws your way. You're here to live your life in a way that honors the gift you've been given, and you can't do that if your mind is a storage unit for someone else's mess. The thing about peace is that once you truly experience it, you won't trade it for anything. Once you know what it's like to wake up without the weight of someone else's chaos on your back, you'll do whatever it takes to protect that feeling, and people might not understand. They might take it personally when you don't engage with their drama. But that's not your responsibility to fix. Your responsibility is to guard your mental space the way you'd guard your home if you knew someone was trying to break in. And here's the beautiful part. When you protect your peace, you start to see opportunities you would have missed before. Your mind gets clearer, your decisions get sharper. You stop wasting days on battles that never mattered and start using them to build something that does. Peace doesn't just make life calmer, it makes it stronger. There will always be noise, there will always be storms, but you get to decide whether they pass around you or through you. And the moment you stop renting space in your head to other people's chaos, you realize something powerful. You don't just own your peace, you own your life. Too many people get caught up in trying to win right now. They want the quick clap back, the instant satisfaction, the immediate moment where they can say, "See, I told you." But the problem with chasing that kind of win is that it's small. It's temporary. It's just a moment, and moments fade. Real victory isn't about shutting somebody down in the heat of the argument. It's about living in such a way that, over time, your life itself becomes the answer. You see, when you fight to win the moment, you're still playing their game. You're reacting to their moves, dancing to their rhythm, letting their energy dictate yours. But when you decide to win in the long run, you stop playing their game entirely. You shift your focus. You stop worrying about what they think now and start building a life that speaks for itself later. You don't need to convince them of anything, because the truth will make its way to them without you having to lift a finger. And here's the thing about the long run: it requires patience. It requires the kind of discipline that most people aren't willing to practice. It means letting go of the urge to have the last word, to be right, in the eyes of people who probably aren't even listening. It means swallowing your pride today so you can stand taller tomorrow. Because the real win isn't in proving them wrong. It's in building something so undeniable that they end up proving themselves wrong just by watching you succeed. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone waste their energy trying to convince their critics? They argue, they explain, they defend themselves over and over, and at the end of the day, nothing changes. The critics still criticize, the doubters still doubt, and the only thing that's been accomplished is wasted time and drained energy. But when you stop feeding that cycle and put all of that effort into your growth, into your craft, into your goals, everything changes. The noise doesn't disappear, but it starts to sound smaller compared to the life you're building. The long run is about playing a different game entirely. While they're busy talking about you, you're busy working on you. While they're digging for flaws, you're planting seeds for your future. And by the time they realize what you've done, it's too late for them to stop it. That's the power of choosing the marathon over the sprint. You get stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable with every step. It's also about understanding that time has a way of revealing truth better than you ever could. You don't have to argue your worth. You don't have to fight for your reputation in every conversation. If you keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep moving forward, time will show who you really are. And when that moment comes, it won't just be about proving a point, it'll be about showing a life that's bigger than any insult, any doubt, any attempt to hold you back. Now, let's be real, it's not easy. There will be days when you want to set the record straight. There will be nights when you replay their words in your head and imagine exactly what you'd say to shut them down. But that's when you remind yourself this isn't about today. This is about building something that lasts. If you can just keep your eyes on the bigger picture, you'll realize that their opinion is a passing cloud, and your work, your growth, your legacy, that's the sky. So you let them talk, you let them doubt, you let them think they've got it figured out, and in the meantime, you keep stacking bricks. You keep building a life so solid that when they finally see it, they can't deny it. That's the win, not because you shouted louder, but because you stood taller. Not because you tore them down, but because you rose so high that they couldn't reach you even if they tried. The moment might feel good for a second, but the long run will feel good for a lifetime. If today's message sparked something in you, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join a community that's committed to growth, peace, and unstoppable purpose. Like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder of their worth. And let's keep building a life that speaks louder than any words against us.